Welcome back to the episode 4 of the Confluence. I'm joined by Sivith and Sharon.
Hi guys.
Hello.
And this week we're going to be talking about kind of some random topics. I feel like, well, Valentine's Day is coming up, so we got to talk about that. We got to dig deep into it. So kind of see what the deal is this year. What are we doing? You know, going on. And I've been kind of looking at some things about like how to do Valentine's Day with COVID, right? Like how is, I was like, this is my first Valentine's Day in a pandemic, so that's definitely changing it up a little bit. And then we have Sharon's going to talk about knockout interest, so we'll talk about that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm going to give you guys my input on both of those things.
Let's go. I guess let's start off with Valentine's Day. So that's coming up. What's your guys' opinion on this holiday? What?
Sharon, do you want to start?
I think that this Valentine's and pandemic would be like a kind of long distance for everyone.
Yep.
So maybe even if they are at some place nearby, it might be difficult to get along back. But I think in a good way, this can be used to strengthen your bonds. Try to miss each other more.
Yeah, I think like I like that. Yeah, because it seems like I think this year, especially with kind of the distance of having the pandemic, like I think relationships they're really put to the test a little bit more. Both at like the intimacy level, but also relationships like at the friend level too are just really like you got to see where you stand here, because now it's like you don't have that physical connection anymore. Now it's it's definitely you have to be more involved if you want to be. You got to put the effort in. You're not coasting through this Valentine's Day.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's like the time for us to get like more artsy and think like, well, what am I going to do that's different this year? How can I make it a COVID edition Valentine's?
Yeah.
I'm going on a date. I'm excited.
Well, you are going on a date. All right. Well, we're going to have to dig deep into how you think that's going to go.
I'll let you know in the future. But yeah, I'm excited. We're going to do like a COVID edition Valentine.
Nice.
Yeah, got nothing to lose. As long as you're safe, you're good to go.
Do you guys find
what about you?
Do you guys find that Valentine's Day has become like commercialized now? Or do you think it still has its roots in being like I don't know, I just get bombarded with it's like Valentine's Day, Pandora jewelry, get it now. It's like, okay, whoa here. I don't know, my Facebook has just been loaded. It's just like you gotta buy this and 10 of these and one of those, and I'm like, oh my god, like what is it? Is it Black Friday or Valentine's Day? Like what's going on here? Like I don't know. I just feel like I don't know if it's just COVID and we haven't been out of the houses and been with people, but it's like it just seems like it's just bombarded this year that it's like, okay, it's diamonds this year because the whole year's been crap. Like it's
I
don't know.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that?
I agree with you, Zach. Like I open my social media and they're like, oh, you can do this for Valentine. You have this, you have that option. And it's like loaded with various kind of gifts and all. Like, yeah, so many things. Online, like shopping sites are like pushing it a lot.
Yeah. I definitely like noticed that. I'm like, wow.
I think, they're pushing it, but I think it also just depends on the couple's love language. For example, gifts are not my love language. Mine is quality time. So whether someone buys me $1,000 present or a $10 present, it means the same thing to me. But if someone like cooked me a dinner and just made something from scratch, that's worth $1 million for me. So I think it just depends on your love language and like what the couple's into and what they prefer, or I guess like how they celebrate it.
Yeah.
Do I think advertisement tries to push it? 100%.
Oh, yeah.
But what holiday do they not push?
That's true. Good point.
Right? That's how they make money.
It wouldn't be a holiday without advertising, right?
Exactly.
They got to make their money somewhere. You're right.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that. So
you're a homemade gift idea person. That's dinners and.
I am. I'm more of the quality time kind of person. I'd rather cuddle on the couch with someone.
Nice.
And like eat homemade vegan food.
There you go. So,
What about you? Does he have a wife?
yeah, me and my wife have we just build Lego together on holidays.
Oh,
That's what we do. We are grown up children. We like to, we like to build Lego, so that is what we do. So actually, I'll go grab the thing we built last Valentine's Day.
ooh, I want to see.
All right, so last Valentine's Day we ended up building a VW camper van.
Oh,
I
So
love it.
that is what we did with a pop-up roof. So
oh,
the full meal. So that is we just get into the model making
Mhm.
at the
nice.
Lego
Nice.
level, and at first we were kind of like, well, this just seems silly. Like, what are we doing? We're adults. Like, Lego says 16 plus. I'm turning 24. Okay, I capped out a while ago. It was just kind of like, okay, all right, let's relax here. But it has gotten addictive. Like, we already have the next set. It's upstairs, and I cannot wait to get home from work and just start building.
As long as you enjoy.
Yeah, like just little things like that. And we just thought, it was just like we were just like, okay, let's just buy Lego. You know what? Whatever, and then like now it's
Yeah.
become like an addiction. Like now it's like I just like look forward to like just build into the night, and it's just like we're sitting there chatting. But like once again, it's like back to what Siva said, right? Like it's the connection,
Love it. Yep.
and
Yeah.
That being said, I know there's people that love presents.
yes,
So we should acknowledge those people too. I know that's a thing. Like, for example, I know one person that tells her partner what she wants every holiday. And she thinks that's love, and it's amazing because he knows that.
Yeah.
He has to listen when she wants something, he gets it.
that's kind of the move though. If that is how
Why
your
not?
your love language works, like that would be sweet. Be like, okay, I need this and I want this. Like it'd be like, okay, well, I'm not gonna, like there's no guessing. It's just like this, I
That's
guess
true.
for the I guess I'm a simple guy.
It reminds me of Rachel Green. Stick to the list. Has anyone seen Friends?
I have. I
Yes,
have.
Yeah, that's it. All you need is a list, It's like when you go to the grocery store, it's a list, When it comes to the holidays, you have a list too, Like
Yeah.
I can vouch for most men. We work better with lists, and if you put numbers next to it, that helps too, like 1, go to the store, 2, buy this, like you gotta, that's how we operate, just get that going, instructions, and then it won't be screwed up, it'll be fine,
Yeah.
Well, you're less likely to screw up.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, nothing's worth like you've probably seen it like at holidays, when like guys are just like standing in the mall and they're just like they just like look like they're not really sure what they're doing and they're just like lost and like or it's like I've seen it like at like women's clothing stores. They're just standing there and they're like looking at it like they're like I don't know about this, and you can just tell that they're like this is not the domain, right? This is not it.
Yeah.
But you got a list there. You're golden. You're golden. That's the golden ticket, So you
Yeah.
can't go wrong there. So. What about you, Sharon?
Yeah. What are your plans? What do you think?
I haven't planned anything. I'm so stuck in my projects and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for me it's my final project, Valentine.
Here you go.
Is it for school?
Yeah,
Okay.
for my final semester. Yeah, there's so many things I have to do and I'm so busy with all. So I have a busy Valentine.
You're gonna be working. It's a working Valentine's.
Yeah, working Valentines
And I
and
feel-
studying Valentines.
And I feel like this year too, like during the pandemic, like holidays have just been like kind of like that, where it's just been like,
Mhm.
oh, you know what, it's coming up, I don't have time, we're just gonna roll over this holiday. Like that's what I felt Christmas was like. Christmas, people
Yeah.
were like, what did you do for Christmas? And I'm like, I stayed at home and it went by and then I went back to work. Like it didn't even feel like I had a holiday. It was just like, well, next year we'll do a better Christmas. Like moving on. Like it was just
Yeah.
like you have holidays that just like rip by and you're just but it's just because like you just can't do what you normally did, and I think for some people they just they're so stuck in well, clearly they're so stuck in the traditions. The people that have been going to Hawaii for the last like 30 years still went. Like what are we thinking? Like, what 1 year won't kill you to not go, but I guess not. I guess that's important, but like some traditions apparently cannot be broken, but Like I'm still like,
You feeling salty about that?
oh, I am. I'm like, it's like, oh, I didn't do it, but someone went to Hawaii. I'm like, oh, great. I just stayed home and froze. Like nice. Yeah, salty. Like I'm just like, come on, what is that? Like, give me the gears, and then that happens. So, but I also feel like kind of like around Valentine's Day, I think like there's definitely gonna be like I imagine people that that haven't like dating during this and like relationships during COVID. Like I've been blessed to be married during all this, so I'm not even in the ringer anymore with anyone. Having to deal with all that. But like dating at this time, like no thanks. Like no thanks. Me and my wife always say that we're like, oh God, we would never want to go back. Like it's just now
No.
it's just too much work. Like now it's just like there's so much work and hassle, and it's different. Like I definitely think in the last like 5 years, like dating has changed. Like the whole mechanic of it is just
What do
different
you think
now.
has changed?
Yeah, what is hassle according to you?
Yeah.
I think like what's changed is that like people are just a lot more like digital now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just seems like it's just getting more and more, and especially like now with the pandemic, like they're having like it was like the other day I saw like an ad for what was it? It was an ad for Tinder, but it was like it was like on Zoom, and I'm like,
Oh.
okay, so I'm
Huh.
like, okay, that's kind of I don't know how I feel about that. I was like, okay, so we're getting very digital at this point. Like we're not even accepting that it might, like eventually this will be over. Like we're going a lot. So I feel like people are just starting to learn how to communicate and like build relationships over just like social media, texting, stuff like that, which I mean can be done. Like there's definitely success
Mhm.
stories of people that have done long distance and have just done video chats, and there's definitely the success stories, but it definitely seems like we're getting to a point where we're becoming a little like everybody's, because we've all been separated for a long time. Now it's starting to become a little more, well, we can just do it with technology. What's the need to go out and it's just like so many things that have gone digital, right? Like that I don't think will, like keep like kind of a long way to explain this, but like voting through like
Yeah.
voting online and voting through the mail. Like I'm never
Yeah.
gonna go back and stand in line to vote ever again. Like yeah,
No.
that's one thing that like this
Mhm.
pandemic taught me, that I was like, okay, never standing in line again. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
doing it this way because this is a good way to do it. Like I don't, it's like so like through these hard times you like start to learn things that it's like, oh, this is a good way to do this. And even after, you might be like, oh, this is still a good way to do this. You've just kind of used your time a little bit better. So,
Yeah.
and then like I was reading, like apparently there's like a US company that like surveyed like 1,000 people that were between the ages of 13 and 39, and 50% of them said they've given up on love during the pandemic. I was like, that is a
What?
big number. I'm like, whoa. I'm like,
Yeah.
that is out of 1,000 people, we're talking 500 have just given
500.
up. And I think like that's a little scary. That's a big percentage of people, and to just give up, like I feel like the people that are still trying, that are still trying to get out there and meet people, like those are really the diehards now, because now there's so many
Yeah.
more things you have to do. Like
That's
it's not
true.
just you're not rolling up to a bar anymore, or going to Sonar on Saturday night like that, right? Like all these
Mhm.
kind of venues where you would have met like lots of people, like they don't really exist anymore. So it's
Mhm.
like now I think like the people that are really actively out there, like they're out there for a reason, like I don't know, that's just my thought on it. Like I think it's kind of one of those things, right, where it's like, has the pandemic made people just give up on dating altogether?
Hmm. I think that in the last 5 years, like dating has definitely changed. I mean, I've only been dating in the last 5 years, but compared to what I've heard and your opinion, just like from the stories I've heard too, like, yeah, like life is really different when you date now, and things are more digital. And like even when it comes back to the love language, like a lot of people's love language is now gifts, because it's harder to get to know people.
Hmm.
So how do you know what they genuinely like to do? For example, like building Lego. And
Yeah,
you don't learn these little things about people if you talk to them over text, right?
that's true.
I think a lot of people have maybe like necessarily given up, but they have put it on pause because people might be thinking like, what's the point of dating if we're not gonna be able to see each other in person,
That's true. So I definitely.
right?
So does that mean that the physicalness still is still a in the ballpark? Like that's still a critical key.
Heck yeah. I bet there's
Heck
lots of
yeah,
people
woo!
scrolling through Instagram thinking, I tapped that.
More than likely, yeah. Instagram's
But
probably
they
just
just can't
flooding
touch
with that.
Especially if you believe COVID's real. Why would you go out and expand your social circle or go meet someone who you don't know, like you don't know who they're seeing and you don't know them well enough to even ask sometimes, you know?
Yep.
And it just comes back to like now, like you just want to see what someone's face looks like. A couple of days ago, I had someone say, "I just really want to see what your face looks like. Do you mind like pulling down your mask?" So I like walked 3 steps back from them and showed them, and then put it back up. Like,
That's crazy.
you're asking me for my number. I just want to see your face, Snippet.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I had someone ask me that.
Oh my god! But that person probably is like 60% of the population is like that, where you're just like, and like I noticed it like when I was at the gym, like
Yeah.
today, like some girl was like, she like came up to me and she's like, I know you from somewhere, but I'm not sure. And I was like, is it because I'm wearing a mask to here? Probably, yeah. I'm wearing a black mask that splits my face in half. Like, unless you remember what my eyebrows look like, yeah, there's a pretty good chance I start looking like other people, right? And
Totally.
she's like, oh, I didn't know if you recognize me. And I'm like, and then she like kind of pulled down her mask too, and I was like, oh yeah, like, and it's kind of weird, like you kind of you know people by like the distinguishing features, right? And a lot of it happens from like the nose down. I mean, the eyes are definitely a good tool for that, but and especially like now, even ears don't even like, because your ears always pinned back or pulled forward by a mask, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you end up getting big Dumbo ears like this when you have a big mask in the way. It's like end up having these
Yeah.
flappers on the side of my head because this mask are pulling it down. It's like, so
Yeah. Even I got someone. I missed someone for something. Like I went to a like mall a few days back, and I was talking to my friends, and I saw some girl, and I thought of her as someone else, and I went to her, and I realized that after like just getting alongside her, I'm like, no, she's not that girl. Oh no.
you're like, oh no, back away, don't. And I think that's like
So yeah.
that's also an issue too, is that now people have bigger personal bubbles. Like now,
Oh
like
yeah.
even like people in grocery stores, like they like move over to the other side of the aisle. They're like, okay, like we can't cross each
Yeah.
other because now like and it's weird sometimes. Like
Yeah.
you have people that almost like
Definitely.
jump out of your way because they're just like, you're too close to me. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, like sorry, and then you end up doing like the Canadian sorry move where you're like, sorry, and you're just saying sorry to each other 1,000 times while you're trying to get past in an aisle. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like I feel like, yeah, especially too when you're like trying to like, especially when you're looking at somebody, you're like, do I know you? And then you get closer, and then they're looking at you like you're a weirdo because you're getting closer. And you're like, oh, hold on. So,
I find that crazy that like we think of like COVID like this, and then in the States, like these things aren't even a thing there.
what do you mean?
Especially like in the sense that like they don't have as many rules there with like social distancing and like in the grocery stores, and like at least here like we say sorry and we respect people's space. But from what I've seen on TV, like that's not even a thing in the States.
Well, I don't know
Not as much
if
of it.
anybody caught the Instagram for the Super Bowl when they had their party on boats in Florida.
Why
There
am
was
I
just
not surprised?
hundreds of people on boats, no masks, all crowded. I was like, what is good? That doesn't even look like the same world we're living in. I was like, what is that? Like, I honestly didn't even think it was real when I was watching it. I was like, no, this must be from 5 years ago, because there's no way this is happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Like US is like acting like they are in some different world since the beginning of this pandemic. Like they are acting all like how they're supposed to do. They are not doing things how they're supposed to do, and it's like they are in some different world than ours.
And I feel like it comes from like the each state seems to be they kind of just do their own thing, and it works as well. It works. It clearly doesn't in some places, but it seems. But then
Yeah,
I've heard of like
it
places where
hasn't.
they're
Yeah.
on lockdown, but then the state over from them is like party town, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what the hell? Like how does that work? Like how does that work that we can have like one state following the rules and then someone else not following? It's like, what? You know, like at least if everybody's on the same blanket, you know, like blanket statement, like here we go, like it's all going to be like this, you know, kind of like we're at now, you know, where it's kind of you got some guidelines for sure that it, you know, at least goes across the country. I think it
I
definitely
agree.
definitely helps. So
Cool. What else are we talking about today? What else do you have on the itinerary?
Well, let's talk about knockout interest. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
So this knockout, just to let you and all our viewers know that knockout interest campaign is a campaign initiated by the BCFS in order to support the students who have kind of taken student loans in any part of their education, and it is a request to federal government to eliminate the federal interest on those loans, because it is believed that these loans are like they are kind of a burden to students rather than being a support. So the students who are actually in need of this support from the government, who cannot afford their education and they are kind of requiring the support from government, this ends up being an extra burden on them, as they are paying more than the ones who are already able to afford this education all by themselves, right? So this is a campaign initiated to eliminate that federal interest, and I think it should definitely be done, and I would like to know your views on this.
Sivith, you want to take want to go guns blazing or what? Or you want me to take the reins here?
Yeah, like I understand like why the government thinks it's fair to like have this in place. I feel like definitely if I think about it, like for myself, like I feel like it's a setback from like when I graduate, like I have to worry about paying these back and think about the interest. It could go towards my mortgage. It could go towards traveling. That being said, I understand why it's there, but do I necessarily agree with it? No. I don't agree with having the interest on the loans. I feel like it's almost like being punished for getting a loan, right?
Yeah.
And not everyone has the money up front for school, and it's almost like, hey, since you don't have the money up front, I'll give it to you, but here's an extra tax. I already paid my tax dollar, so I feel like maybe some of my tax dollars should go towards it, or maybe they could say like, hey, when you're done your education, we might up your taxes by like 1% for the first 5 years. Right? Like something different, because then I wouldn't, it's like I am paying it, but then it's like included when I'm done school.
So like,
or like even 0.5.
Like give you a break on one tax so that you can finish one and not hit you with both of them at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, like
that'd be kind
I think
of the
there's
move,
other
actually.
ways you can go about it. Like I understand why the government does it. Like they're not just popping bills. It's not like they have a money tree in the backyard where they just have like a bunch of they're printing bills, right? That being said, I think there's other ways they can go about it. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I guess I'd start off with how much is like for someone. I haven't had a student loan. I've been really lucky to work full time while going to school, so and pay off my schooling as it goes. But what is currently if you guys know, the interest rate on a federal student loan?
So on any student loan, it is like 60% is the federal interest and 40% is the provincial interest. And few provinces like BC too, they have eliminated that provincial part of the interest. Already eliminated it, and there are few provinces other than BC2 which have eliminated this interest. So it's the remaining 60% interest from the federal government, which we want that this should be eliminated too.
So do any of you guys have a student loan right now?
I do.
All right, Sivith. So how does that work? Like run me through a student loan. So when you went to school, you took out this loan, they gave you X amount of dollars.
Well, it depends, because you can take out a loan through the bank or you can take out a loan through Student Aid BC.
Okay.
My loans are through Student Aid BC, because if you take out a loan through the bank, you have to start paying interest on it right away.
Okay.
If you take out a loan through, sorry, no, if you take it through the bank, you start paying it right away. And if you take it out through Student Aid BC, you start paying interest on it as soon as you, is it 3 months after you graduate, I think? Yeah, you have a couple months and then you start paying interest on your loan.
So I guess with that idea that they're paying for you to finish school and then you have 3 months to find a
like 3 to
job in
4
your field, I guess.
exactly.
So
Okay.
yeah, it is like you finish your education, and rather than focusing on your savings or doing something for the economy or doing something for your betterment, there
Mhm.
is a kind of burden on the students to think about this loan too at that time. Rather, if it was not, the students would have go on with their dreams or with their plans regarding their for the work or other future endeavors, and this would, in this way, they would have contributed to the economy too. So it is kind of a burden to the student as well as to the economy too, as they have to like push forward their plans of further doing things, because they have to wait for some time, because they have to pay for the loan back, and that's all.
Mm. So I wonder, do you guys think that it ends up forcing people that have loans to maybe like find a job very quickly, even if it's not in their field, just to be able to start paying that interest once it starts?
It
Um,
might be.
like, yeah, because I've heard of that. Like people like come out of school, they're not really sure. Like there's some industries that takes time, right? Like you don't just come out of your schooling and you're like, oh, I'm an accountant. And then it's like next day, it's like, well, go to the accounting job place and get yourself a job. Like, like obviously there's limitations to being able to instantly get a job in the field that you just studied for, X amount of years, whatever. But I find like, do you think that's pushing students to maybe like just getting not a hasty job, but just getting a job of some kind to be able to even just compensate for all that interest that they're going to have to deal with now?
I think it forces people to get second jobs, because I
Mm,
think like in the healthcare field, you're guaranteed a job once you're done school. But like not a lot of people are. Like I have a lot of friends that aren't guaranteed jobs when they're done school. And so I feel like it forces them to they'll probably get one similar to what they went to school for, but that's not paying them as much as they would be getting paid if they're working in their field. So
mm.
being on student loan forces them to like work another part-time job.
And I'm gonna go down a civet road, but I don't think that helps mental health, having to get a second job just to be able to pay off a
Oh
student loan.
hell no, it
Hell
doesn't.
no, absolutely not.
No, it doesn't.
No, because
Yeah.
I can only imagine that you've taken all this time and money, and you've done your studies, you've come out of it, you're like, okay, this is the field I'm going in for, the foreseeable future of a career. And then at that point you're looking at, oh, maybe I'll do something kind of in the field, but it's just something to be able to pay off this debt, and not have to. It's kind of like, I kind of see it like you were saying, a barrier, right? Like if you're a student and first of all
Yeah.
you can't afford your studies, you're like, okay, that sucks already. You're like, okay, well, you need an education to be able to get a job that you want, but you can't afford to even start that whole process without having a middleman, to give you that loan. So I find that's kind of like in a way, it's sort of like a reverse Robin Hood effect, right? It's like, steal from the people that can't really pay already. It's kind of like, okay, we're going to take from you later. And it's not like,
Yeah.
I find like, people that have student loans, it's not like they come out of, their schooling and they're like all of a sudden like rich. Like it's like, boom,
Yeah.
4 years of schooling and now I'm super well off. It's like, no, usually that they hurt the whole way along, the student grind, right? Like most students aren't making, 6 figures a year and then going to school. Like that's usually not how that works, right? It's the ramen and Diet Coke for 4 years, right? Like the grind for sure. So, and like I also find like like how many other things can you get 0% interest on that are like
Yeah, that
half as
too.
half as useful? Like I know when we bought
Yeah.
our new car, it was
Yeah,
like
exactly.
0% interest for 72 months,
Yeah.
but it's like a student loan can't get 0% interest.
Yeah,
So I can go
exactly.
out and buy a
There,
car, but a
there are so many
student loan,
car loans,
like
even
what?
house loans. Like
Yeah.
they're providing it without any interest. So why not education, which is such a crucial part of economy for country, for future? It's
Yeah.
like a future investment for the country. So why not it can be without any interest?
Yeah, because I thought about it the other day. I was like, because I was like thinking to myself, I was like, okay, like, we pay interest on a lot of things, like it may, maybe it's just me not seeing what student loans, that interest, right? I don't feel that burden. But then I was thinking, I
Yeah.
was like, well, I paid 0% interest on like a $50,000 car. So, but
Yeah.
but then students are getting like hit with this interest afterwards. Like that doesn't really make any sense. Like it's kind of like,
And plus, like this interest, if like in worst scenario, it may even like it may force the student to drop out their education or even drop out their plan of education, just like because of this burden they might have at the end. And it might prevent them from getting education they have been dreaming about, or they wanted to. It might happen too. So it is kind of, it is unfair to those students who want to get good education and grow in their life. So this should not be, it should not be a barrier, and anyone who wants to get good education, like every student should be able to afford it, and country and government should support that.
yeah, and I feel like once again back to the barrier thing. Like now you've gotten the loan, you're like, sweet, I'm going to school. Now you already know at the end there's already somebody waiting for you.
Yeah.
Like what kind of stress does that put, right? Like you've already had the stress of your academics and being able to afford and live a normal life and try to get try to just incorporate like incorporating education into a real life setting is difficult. Anybody who says it's not is lying to you. Getting a degree, getting a diploma, getting anything, like it takes time and it takes dedication, right? So then if you have already those kind of like, that's not going to help mental health, knowing that once you get to the end, like you better figure out what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like most people don't, like I went through school not knowing what I was gonna do, flip and flop back and forth. And I'm glad there wasn't somebody at the end that was like, okay, pay up now. Like
Oh
it would have been
yeah.
like, whoa, like I'm just barely figuring out what I'm doing here, like let
Yeah.
alone, knowing that there's like this haunting bill at the end.
Yeah.
And
It
especially
might
like,
even, yeah, it might even affect their performance in education too.
oh, like I would imagine I'd be stressed, if you do like poorly on, on a test at such a like the microscopic level of this whole like thing, you're like, oh god, like I can't fail this class because then I paid for it and it's a loan and I'm paying interest on it. Like it just like moves along to
Yeah.
kind of at the end where you're
Yeah.
like, like every
One thing leads,
class, every
one thing
lecture
leading to another. Yeah.
is part of that insurance bubble at the end, or that interest bubble, I should say, at the end. So it's, I don't know, like I feel like that would always be looming over your shoulder. You'd be like, okay, well, like I need to make sure. And then like finance, right? You try to throw finance and schooling together, like come on. Like, like once again, no students are rich, and the ones that are like, God bless you, but that's not everyone. Okay. You know what? You got lucky. You got lucky, you're, not everybody's parents are able to support in the way that, your parents did, or your inheritance, or whatever it was, not all, some of us got to grind, and it's,
Yeah.
which I think is tough, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
especially when you're working, like, minimum wage is great. Like, don't get me wrong, but minimum wage isn't enough to be like, okay, I can put away, money to pay this. It's like, no, I can put money away to buy groceries this week, or
Yeah.
pay a ridiculously high car insurance, or, pay like the never ending rent increase that's happening in this, a basement suite in this town is going to run you, anywhere between $700 to $1,000 just for, an in the ground basement. It's like, yeah, that's, there's a lot more costs associated with education, I think, than.
And plus, in situations like that of CFITs, like where your education is such a hard one, you don't have time, like you cannot dream about uh, getting some part-time job or something where you can like earn and save. Like you don't have that option in study course, in programs like this. You have to be so committed to your studies, to your clinicals and everything. You don't have time to get a job and save for yourself. Like these courses actually require so much commitment. So I think to students like this, they deserve elimination of this interest for sure.
Yeah.
So now, okay, I'm going to pose this question. So if say an international student, do they can still apply for a student loan just like anybody, right?
No,
No, they're
Okay.
not allowed.
All
no.
right, I already messed that up. Okay. So how does
And
it work? How does it work from an international student point of view? How does that work?
They can take out loans from their own country. Like I have.
it's more from like our own countries back, because
Yeah.
before
Okay.
coming to Canada, we have to apply for our like, yeah.
And
They have to prove that they have like the income to like
Yeah.
support themselves here
That's,
before
yeah.
they come here. So if they like need money, they have to go to the banks in the country they're from.
So is it the same thing like with the student loan? Is there still interest from the country that they took it out of, or is it really like more of a federal Canadian thing that we're just like trying to, we're like, we'll get them, like, it doesn't matter. Anybody who takes out a loan, we're getting you, like it's not like, does that work like as well, like internationally? Like, is it just federal government that's like, we're taking a piece of this, being greedy?
I think the procedure is quite much similar there too. Like they are being given a time frame for some time, like after this much time of your completion of education, you have to start giving back your loans. And yeah, it works like this truly.
Because I know the other day I was in the office and I was talking to Guntas. I'll drop her stuff down in the description below if anybody wants to. Guntas should be on the next show. I'm trying to convince her to come on, so we'll have another guest on. But she was telling me all about like how much more that students pay for classes as an international student, and as well like the limit that they're allowed to work. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. That seems so messed up.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that. No, I'm one of these students that was oblivious to all this, I just was like, okay, well, I'm just doing school and walking through and looking around and not paying attention to like all the other struggles that people are having.
I think we can have one complete session for then international students.
I think we should, honestly, because like I probably represent a demographic of students that have no idea what it's like. As a domestic student, I have no idea how that works. And I don't.
It might be possible that many domestic students might not be knowing it. Like when I work at SportCheck, and most of my fellow students like who work there and plus study at CNC, they don't know that we international students are just allowed to work 20 hours. They're like, you don't work more. So we are like, okay, I'm allowed to work 20 hours only. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't even believe that. I thought she was joking with me. I was like, oh yeah, you can only work 20 hours. Like, and she's like, no, seriously, like only 20 hours. I was like, how are you supposed to pay? You're paying, upwards of 4 times the price, but you only work 20. You can only work. It's not like, well, I'm only going to work 20 hours. It's like at the max you're working 20 hours.
Yeah.
Like, that's brutal. Yeah. That's ultimately setting you up to just take money from you. It's like, oh, here's a great, a huge price, but then we're gonna make sure you can't pay the whole thing. It's like, so there'll definitely be an episode about that. Stay tuned for that, because we're gonna dig deep into this. Because as a domestic student, I was shocked. I was like, what is this? Because I was like telling Guntas, I was like, oh, like this semester I paid like $500 for like one course, and she's like, Zach, listen to me. That's nothing. I was like, what? And she's like, that's nothing.
Yeah.
She's like, don't complain. And then she just like went off, and I was like, whoa. I was like, wow, we need to, because I have no idea. It was a real eye opener. I was like, hey, as a domestic student, I have no idea how international studies works. So we're gonna have an episode about it, that's for sure.
Yeah. So finally, to wrap up on like knockout interest campaign, I think that since I'm not sure about, but yeah, 63% of people in today's world need higher education to get good jobs. So being educated is very crucial in times like this, when you have such an educational pool all around. So I think nobody should have to leave their plan or give up on their plan of getting higher education just because they cannot afford it. So government should be supporting them, and this federal loans should be like federal interest should be eliminated on student loans for sure.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
I agree.
Thank you.
And I'll make sure to drop the links for the knockout interest, and all those links.
Yeah.
I'll drop them down in the description so that you guys can check that out.
We can have the link. Yeah.
Yes, so we'll definitely have that. All right, well, let's move on. We are already whipping along on this episode. Let's move along to, I have some submissions this week. This is a poem by Alyssa. It's titled Lonely Times. I am becoming restless. Everything has caused me great distress. Who am I supposed to tell? My mom? But she already has a heavy load. A family to feed, providing warmth in this burning cold. Or I could tell Dad, but he messaged me asking for prayers. At work, the situation is getting out of hand. My sister, you can't always rely on her, but she's fragile. She'd be worried sick, so why my brother? Ah, my brother. But with him, I'd rather share my laughter. Also, he's not much of an advice giver. The youngest, he knows I'm a fighter. I'm pushing through for you. The thought of you makes me stronger. This leaves me with you, stranger. Funny how I can be understood through pen and paper. I'm not facing all of these alone after all. I'll see you again when I fall. Alyssa.
That's deep.
Yes, this poem I had to read it a few times to like get it, and I still like go in a different direction every time I read it. I'm like, okay, like this poem can be dissected in so many ways. Like it was, yeah. What do you guys think?
I think it's really it's like the way she has like depicted it, her every emotion for her every family member, how well she knows them and how much she loves them. And yeah, I think like
I,
she portrayed it in such a good way. Like the way she said things, like needing she might be needing so much from them, but she's trying to be strong for them. And yeah, it's beautiful.
I feel like it reminds me of a high school person, like kid. Like, you know, when you're in high school and you're like 16 and you feel like you're like falling apart and your mom's cooking and she's busy running the house and your dad's busy working and like doing chores around the house too. And then your siblings are doing other things and everyone's in sports and extracurriculars. And then like you eat around the dinner sometimes, but most of the time you guys can't even meet up for dinner because everyone's busy.
mm-hmm.
And then this is how a high schooler feels. They feel like they have to turn to like paper.
Yeah, I got that vibe too. I was like,
You
this
know?
this sounds like someone who's just like trying to find a second, to just
Exactly.
be at, in Zen, but it's
Mhm.
the craziness of a family. I like how she threw in
Yeah.
like her mom, her sister, her brother, her
Yeah.
dad. Like it was like it kept bringing the poem back to family, which I was like, whoa, that's deep,
Mhm.
because I get that, like having it like
It's so relatable.
having a family that's like just all over the place. You can't, you don't have it. It feels like
Mhm.
you don't see them. And when you do, it's like, oh, just for a second, someone's going
Yeah.
this or going to work or, they don't have time, like
Mhm.
I've felt that, where your family's just like so busy that it just seems like they don't have time, but you're like, like I'm screaming, like, please listen to me, like kind of thing. And
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely felt that Sivith as well, that had some teenage year stuff thrown in there. That's what it hit me with. I was like, whoa. I was like, oh. I was like, I definitely went through this. I
Yeah.
was like,
Oh
whoa.
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
wow. I think a lot of people have gone through similar feelings like
Mhm.
this.
Oh,
That's for sure.
100%.
So this is a poem by Bridget, and it's named Mirror Mirror. Imagine seeing all the time, never being able to close your eyes. I see it all. I am your mirror. I always show you the truth. When you were a baby, I loved showing you your reflection as your soft little toes brush against me while your mom holds you and tickles your tummy. I am proud of your little smile. Soon you grow little hairs and you laugh as your daddy spins you around so fast. Soon you come and see me on your own, and I show you the reflection of the silly faces you make. You rub your face into me, leaving oil and drool behind as you run off. Years go by, and soon you visit me less. You clean my surface, but you don't look me see your face. You don't let me see your face. Sorry. Oh my god, I can't read. You amuse yourself by tilting me up and down so the floor looks crooked. Days later, you come back. I am eager to show you your pretty face. You pass me and go into the bathroom. You emerge in a bathing suit of many colors. I am amazed at how mature you look. You angle me down at your body. No, I want to shout. You have to see the whole picture, your wavy hair, elegant eyes, and freckled nose. You are so beautiful. Why won't you let me show you? I wish I could show you how I see you, my perfect little girl. You can't hear me or my begging, and you turn away and change. I watch you pick up your phone and say you're too sick to go out. You collapse on your bed and sigh. Mirror, mirror on the wall, am I pretty at all? There goes my girl. She is blinded by things outside this room, and for once I can't show her the truth.
That's
Whoa.
deep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Me, everything's just like so deep.
Yes, there's no light poems today. These are deep ones. So, what do you guys think?
I think like a lot of people that are going through puberty feel this way. That being said, there's a lot of people that don't love what they see in the mirror and go through life like that. I think like I have an obsession with myself, so I haven't really gone through this as an adult, but I've seen people go through it, and I think sometimes like I feel like a mirror when I look at someone. I'm just like, you are so pretty and you're so amazing, and I notice like the little things about them, and sometimes I'll think like, I wish you could see yourself through my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially as a girl, I mean, I know men go through different things in society, but girls go through a lot in the sense that like they have to either be slim, and if they're bigger, they have to be the perfect right of being big, big boobs, big butt, small waist. And those are the models they portray. And the same for guys, like you can't just be big, you have to have muscle if you're going to be bigger.
That is true.
Or they call it a dad bod. You know?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, little too
Yeah.
many drinks on the weekend, and then you upgrade yourself to a dad bod overnight. and you know, it's like tough. Like we like laugh about it, but like there's
It's true.
You know, like I've always hated the expression where people are like, "Oh, just love your body for," you know. It's like it's not that simple. You can't just say, "Oh, just love it; it'll be fine." It's like, no, actually, like a lot of people struggle with this. You know, they don't want to love it. You know, they're kind of like, like they say like, "Oh yeah, like I'm comfortable in my own skin," but 100%. You know, and I think that's like when I read this one, it was like, you know, like when like the part where she was saying like, you know, how you angled me. You know, like how many times do you know people like, especially like let's just throw Instagram under the bus here. How many people take photos 20, 30 times at all different angles? You know, you're getting shots from up here, down here, to the side. It's like, why are we doing that? Because you want the angle that you want to portray, you know.
Where you look good.
Or you see the pictures that it's just like neck up, and it's like, well, you know, why is that? Is it because you're, you know, you don't want to show off who you are? You know, you're not comfortable. Like at that point, are you only happy with 40% of your body? You know, and it's like it's tough. Like I definitely like I feel, especially like once again going back to high school. Like I related with this one in high school. Like when I was in high school, I was fat with a capital F, like big boy. And I was like, I could, you know, definitely relate with this. It was like every mirror I walked by, I was like, good God, why are there so many mirrors here? Let's get rid of some of them. Okay, let's come on, you know. But it's like, yeah, the same thing where it's like sometimes like the mirror, you just can't stop looking at yourself, and then there's some days where you just want to not even have one.
Yeah.
You know, but like it was interesting how she did like the perspective of the mirror. I was like, this is, you know, I was like, this is a new way of looking at it. You know,
Yeah, I've never really viewed it like that.
Yeah, she knows that, like, she knows all these things, that like a person is pretty as they are, but maybe she's trying to like put it in a way that okay, the world knows it too. Make sure, trying to make sure that world knows it too. Like, yeah,
yeah,
it's nice. Yeah,
I found it was a nice way of like expressing like how you can love yourself, but then also be conflicted with what you love about yourself.
yeah.
Because like there's always a struggle, you know. There's always, you know,
Yeah.
we are not perfect, but I think that's what makes us all beautiful.
Yeah.
If we were all the same and we were all perfect, like what, you know, what does
Yeah.
that even, you know, what would that even look like? Would you even want
Yeah.
that? Probably not, because then you'd have the
Yeah.
cookie cut. You know, it's like when you drive down a neighborhood and all the houses look the same. It's like, would you want that with people? No, absolutely not, because then we'd all look the same, you know. And at what point would that make people look, you know, be different? You know?
Yeah.
Like we said at the beginning of the episode, like physicalness and, you know, appearance are what makes, you know, a portion of a person, right? You know, and like we were saying with the masks, right? You cut off half of someone's face, you just lost half an appearance. You know, and it's like, you know, like you were saying, the little things that you know that people just want to see, right? And but people struggle with what they want to show, right? So all right, so we have a photo once again this week from Emma Bolt. So this is her photo of, I'm not 100%, definitely looks like northern British Columbia by the ice cold looking water, and very still. Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure where this is taken, but I like this photo from the look of the water being like glass.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the reflection. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks so amazing. Yeah.
It reminds me of camping. You know, when you wake up in the morning,
I
and, like,
I remember Sifit's summers. Every time she was on a new lake.
I lived at the lake over the summer, but yeah, it's like, you know, when you go to the lake in the mornings, or like, especially when you wake up in the mornings and you're camping, and the
Yeah.
Yeah.
water and like just beautiful, and the birds are singing, and the squirrels and all the little animals are out, and
Yeah, when I saw this photo, I thought of camping as well. And
yeah,
I could feel, like, you know, when you get out of your tent in the morning and there's like dew.
exactly.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
whoa, I could like just like I could almost feel it. Like I was like, oh my God, there's like I can feel dew on a tent. And then when I looked at this too, I was like, you know the sound the loons make in the morning?
Yeah.
I was like, you know, the water is quiet, but you hear like a loon call, and it just like seems to like just cut through the water and like seems to echo for like miles. I was like, wow. I was like, this is definitely like, I would not be surprised if maybe she was camping when she took this shot. I was like, this has that, you know, you unzip your tent and like, boom, this is it.
Mm, I love it.
If you want to submit some of your work to be shown off on the show, please send it to editor@cncsu.ca. And as always, if you see it on the show, there'll be a $20 check coming your way. So, all right. Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great day
Bye.
or night.
Make sure to click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an episode. And make sure to check out the links in the description for everything Confluence.